Imagine a voice that has been the soundtrack to millions of love stories for over half a century. Now, imagine a bank account so massive it could buy a small country. We are diving deep into the world of the one and only Roberto Carlos. You probably know him as the king of romantic music, but there is a side to him that is far more calculated than any love ballad. We are about to pull back the curtain on one of the greatest financial empires ever built by an artist. Did you know he is actually one of the richest performers on the planet? We aren't just talking about being famous in Brazil. We are talking about a global financial titan whose wealth rivals the biggest names in Hollywood. It is absolutely mind-blowing when you look at the real numbers. Let's talk about that billionaire lifestyle. We are talking about a level of wealth that most of us can't even wrap our heads around. He owns private jets that whisk him away to secret locations at a moment's notice. And if he wants to hit the water, he's got a massive gleaming yacht named Lady Laura Thord that is basically a floating palace. It's huge, luxurious, and named after his late mother. But wait, his real estate portfolio is where things get truly insane. It looks like a real-life game of Monopoly. From luxury penthouses to sprawling estates, the king's footprint is everywhere. He has turned land and bricks into a fortune that keeps growing while he sleeps. But here is the real kicker. Why does he keep so much of his financial life under wraps? While other celebrities are flaunting their new cars on social media, Roberto Carlos plays a much more mysterious game. He has spent over 6 decades building this massive empire, and the secrets behind how he manages his wealth are guarded more closely than a royal treasure. Is it just modesty, or is there something about his business tactics that he prefers to keep hidden? Does he refuse to sign contracts on certain days? Rumors say his superstitions play a huge role. We are exploring how a boy from a small town managed to stay at the top for so long without ever losing his grip on the crown. Of course, we have to talk about the music. The numbers are simply staggering. We are talking about over 140 million albums sold throughout his career. That is more than many global pop stars who have the entire world as their market. How much does a legend like him actually make per record? Even a small percentage of those sales adds up to hundreds of millions over time. But his music was just the foundation. He understood early on that a voice is a tool, but a brand is an empire. Roberto Carlos is more than just a singer. He is a luxury brand. When people hear his name, they think of prestige. People are willing to pay thousands just to be in his presence, or to catch one of those famous red roses. It's like he has turned his very existence into a premium product that never goes out of style. And who could forget the annual ritual of the Globo Special? Every single year, the entire country stops to watch the king perform. It's practically a national holiday. Have you ever wondered how much the network pays to keep him exclusive year after year? The rumors suggest the numbers are astronomical. It is one of the most stable and incredibly lucrative contracts in the history of television media. But do you think it was always this easy before he was the king? There were early struggles and moments where the gold mine seemed like a distant dream. I have to ask you guys, if you had his bank account, what's the first thing you'd buy? A luxury yacht or your own private island? Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. But wait, the story gets even more interesting. What if I told you that music isn't even his biggest source of income anymore? Can you guess what made him a billionaire? Stay tuned, because we are just scratching the surface of how the king truly built his kingdom. To really understand how the king built this massive mountain of gold, we have to look back at the young boy from Cachoeiro de Itapemirim in Espírito Santo. Imagine a small-town kid with big dreams and a guitar. He didn't just wake up one day with a yacht and a private jet. His journey to the top was a masterclass in branding. In the 1960s, he spearheaded the Hovem Guarda Revolution, Brazil's answer to the British invasion. But Roberto wasn't just singing catchy tunes, he was marketing a complete lifestyle. He was the face of the youth culture, the fast cars, and the rebellious spirit. He was a marketing genius before people even used that term. He knew his image was his most valuable asset, and he protected it fiercely right from the start. Then came the pivot that changed everything. Talk about a genius move. Roberto realized that rock and roll might be a trend, but romanticism is forever. By shifting to romantic ballads, he didn't just find a new audience, he found a seat at the dinner table of every household in Latin America. This transition wasn't just musical, it was a calculated financial strategy that opened doors to international markets. Singing in Spanish and Italian turned him from a national star into a global powerhouse. When you can make an entire continent fall in love, Your bank account is going to reflect that power, but the biggest secret to his billionaire status isn't even on a CD or a digital streaming platform. It's in the bricks and mortar. Did you know that the king is a massive player in the luxury real estate market? Through his company, Emoções Incorporadora, he has built some of the most expensive luxury buildings in Brazil. We are talking about high-end skyscrapers that carry his brand's prestige. These projects often sell out before the first brick is laid because people don't just want an apartment, they want a piece of the Emoções lifestyle. We are talking about billions of dollars in total sales value. It turns out the king is just as good at reading a balance sheet as he is at reading a melody. And let's not forget the Projeto Emoções em Alto Mar. Now, if you think a standard concert is profitable, imagine an entire cruise ship filled with thousands of devoted fans who have paid a premium price to spend a few days at sea with their idol. These tickets are notoriously expensive, yet they sell out years in advance. It's an absolute gold mine. Between the ticket sales, the sponsorships, and the merchandise, it is likely one of the most profitable recurring events in the entire entertainment industry. It is truly a floating empire of cash. You can't talk about Roberto Carlos without mentioning his legendary quirks. His obsessive compulsive tendencies are famous. We've all heard about his strict color palette, only blue and white allowed. Rumor has it he absolutely despises the color brown and will go to great lengths to avoid it. But how does this affect his business? Word on the street is that he is incredibly particular about when and how he signs his multi-million-dollar contracts. He follows specific rituals that would make a corporate lawyer's head spin. Is it superstition or the focus that kept him at the top for 60 years? Does he refuse to sign deals on certain days? Some say yes. There are even whispers about the insurance on his voice. Some say his vocal cords are insured for a sum so large it would make a fleet of Ferraris look like pocket change. That voice is the engine that drives the whole machine. Then there is the power of exclusion. Unlike other stars, Roberto maintains a calculated mystery. He rarely gives interviews, which only makes his rare appearances more valuable. By being less accessible, he has made himself more desirable to the market. But wait, you won't believe what other celebrities and former collaborators say about his habits behind closed doors. Some say he is the most meticulous boss in the business, watching every penny. The stories of his perfectionism are wild. Just how much does it cost to maintain a kingdom this big? The reactions from those who have seen his wealth up close are truly something else. And we are just getting started. Even in the age of TikTok, viral trends, and fast-paced digital content, the king remains completely untouchable. Have you seen the hilarious memes that start circulating every single December? It is a popular joke in Brazil that Roberto Carlos is kept in a cryogenic chamber all year and only unfrozen when it is time for the Christmas lights to go up. While it is funny, the financial reality behind the humor is no laughing matter. That yearly unfreezing translates into millions of digital streams on platforms like Spotify, resulting in a massive surge of royalty checks that most modern artists would give anything to achieve. He has managed to bridge the gap between the golden era of physical vinyl and the complex age of algorithms better than almost any other artist in history. It is truly a masterclass in staying relevant across 6 different decades. To his millions of devoted fans, he isn't just a singer, he is a spiritual experience. Some people save their hard-earned money for months just to afford a single ticket to see him perform, and catching one of those iconic red roses. For many, that isn't just a simple souvenir. It is a life-altering event they will cherish forever. They treat his concerts like a sacred ritual or a religious pilgrimage. This level of extreme fanaticism is exactly what fuels his massive fortune. When you have a following that loyal, you don't just have an audience. You have a self-sustaining economy that revolves entirely around your personal brand. It is the kind of devotion that creates a financial fortress around a celebrity, making them immune to the usual ups and downs of the music industry. But what is it actually like to be behind the scenes with a billionaire legend? Former collaborators and professional staff members often whisper about his legendary perfectionism. They say he is an incredibly tough boss who knows the exact value of every single cent he earns. He doesn't just hire people to run his businesses and walk away. He stays deeply involved in the smallest details. Whether it is the specific acoustics of a concert hall or the architectural blueprints for one of his luxury skyscrapers, he demands total excellence. It is that same obsessive drive for perfection that ensures the Roberto Carlos brand never loses its prestige. He understands that in the world of high-stakes business, even one small mistake can cost millions of dollars and tarnish a reputation built over a lifetime of hard work. So let's talk about the big question everyone wants to know: just how much is he really worth? While you won't see his name officially listed on the Forbes billionaire list, mostly because his wealth is tied up in private holdings, financial experts have spent years doing the math. When you combine his 60 years of record sales, his massive luxury real estate portfolio through Emoções Incorporadora, and those exclusive TV contracts with Globo, the numbers are mind-blowing. We are talking about estimates ranging from $500 million to well over $1 billion. Whether he has officially hit that B status or not, there is no doubt that he is one of the wealthiest musicians to ever walk the earth. Naturally, with an empire this enormous, the conversation eventually turns toward the future legacy. Who is going to inherit this massive kingdom? His children are already stepping up, taking on significant roles in managing the king's assets and preparing for a day when the legacy must live on. Managing an empire of this scale is a high-pressure job. It isn't just about collecting royalty checks. It's about protecting the prestige of the Roberto Carlos name for future generations to come. It is about keeping the Emoções brand alive and profitable long after the final curtain call. And believe it or not, the king isn't slowing down. Rumors are flying about a massive new international tour and even a high-budget Hollywood biopic to tell his life story. Can you imagine seeing his trajectory from a small town to a global stage on the big screen? That would only add more zeros to his already overflowing bank account. While some critics argue he has a bit of a monopoly on the holidays, you cannot argue with his results. He is a survivor, a mogul, and an icon. So what do you think? Is he a businessman who happens to sing, or a singer who accidentally became a mogul? Comment below. Is he the greatest of all time? Or just the best at making money? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Next time, we are diving into his secret car collection. You won't want to miss the vintage Ferraris.